Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the third edition of the Global Business and Management Education Expo. We're absolutely delighted that we're kicking off the day with a fantastic speaker session. It's not just a session, it's a masterclass. And we have Arjun Chatterjee, the founder and CEO of Runtime Solutions, hosting this session. Let me tell you a little bit about Arjun. I've known him very closely for many years. He's a gem of a person. He has over 20 years of experience. His areas of expertise include product management, project management, sales, marketing, business development, but naturally, all things digital. His company, Runtime Solutions, offers a whole host of solutions in the digital space, from mobile app development, video production, PPC marketing, social media marketing, SEO, the entire gamut of products and services that you can think of in the digital space. At some point in Runtime's existence, they've actually done all of that. They work with some of the biggest brands, but they've also been open to taking on projects with smaller brands. So in that sense, as a company, they're really agile. So while they've grown really large, they've maintained that agility and flexibility to respond to needs of their customers. In today's session, Arjun's going to be taking you through some basics of digital. And of course, let's make this session interactive. We look forward to welcome questions from all of you at the end of the session in terms of any doubts that you may have in your mind about the kind of careers you could seek, or some of the roles that you could play in the industry. And let's get started. Over to you, Arjun.
Thank you, Amit. Thanks to Zista and for having me here, and look forward to hopefully adding value to the Global Business and Management Education Summit today. I know it's a Sunday morning and I'm the first speaker, so seeing a few slightly not fully there sort of eyes, but I hope this session kind of wakes people up a little bit. And it's not a dense set of presentations which I have. I don't have 55 slides which I need to run through. Can try to keep it more audio-visual and definitely more interactive. What would definitely help is if all of you could interact more, and I'm sure a lot of you have questions and concerns. I see some parents as well, I'm assuming, in the audience. So anything that you all have specifically in mind, please feel to flag those off, and we'll be happy to have conversations around that. Because I think the idea of sessions like this, masterclass, is a bit intimidating even for me. But I just want to have a good, fun conversation, which hopefully benefits some of you guys. So without much ado, I'll let's set some context here. How many of you guys are looking at a career in digital marketing? Okay, Amit, clearly, still. Just keep your hands up, please. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. Brilliant. So can any one of these guys who raised your hands tell me what you think digital marketing is? There's one here. No, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us what you think.
Hi, I'm Yash. Digital marketing, I assume that digital marketing is promotion of products or services through digital media.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Yash. That's actually a pretty good starting definition, definitely. Anyone else wants to take a go? Yeah.
You can get it out, I think.
Getting more sales without even investing in money. Without investing, we just get major sales by online promotion and such stuff.
You got it. Yes, definitely. I'll take that. Anyone else? I think there was someone from here.
Hi guys, I am Saksham. Digital marketing is grow your business in online form and making the product highlight over the internet so that buyers can be all over from India. It's good for expansion.
Right. Thank you. Perfect. So I think this is a pretty enlightened audience. So I'm glad to see this. And can I assume most of you guys are done in college, in undergrad college? Just a show of hands. How many of you guys are in undergrad right now? Yeah, I think that's the majority. So you all are going to be graduating soon and then pursuing your masters, right? That's the audience I'm largely addressing. Great. So that I think helps me to also center, what I need to say. So I think a lot of you already know digital marketing. I think a lot of you are active users. How many Instagram users here? Show of hands. Okay, there's a bunch here. But you don't want to raise your hand. Okay, cool. How many Facebook users? Yeah, there's an age demographic situation. Sir doesn't use any. Oh, smart. We'll discuss the media dark folks, later in the day. So yeah, so I think since all of you guys are active users of Instagram, I mean India is one of the fastest growing markets for Instagram anyway. I think I'm not going to spend time trying to set context on why digital and why social media is an important part of not just business today, but of everybody's life, right? So I think most of you are native users of digital and social. I think Amit and I started our careers like 20 years back, so we've actually seen the kind of migration from more traditional media like print or outdoor and television to digital, and we've kind of lived that sort of transition and evolution. I think most of you are natives. I think you guys are very familiar with the medium. I think you all live and breathe it. Your education, your entertainment, your friends and associations, and all of that is happening through this medium. So I think it's very important. In fact, it's an obvious sort of ecosystem for you all to know, and it's great that some of you are wanting to pursue that as a professional, kind of a choice as well. So it's a natural and a logical choice. So what I'm going to do here is, so what is digital marketing? Very short. I mean, I'm not running like a sort of a academic sort of a course, so I'm going to skim on it, and I have time also because Amit is going to throw me out otherwise. But I think what I'll cover, what I think some of you guys did mention, is basically using any number of channels and platforms online to promote the goods or services, right? So you could use something like a Meta, which includes Facebook and Instagram. You could use Google, which is your whole search platform bit of it. You could use LinkedIn, which is like a whole professional network of promoting goods and services, like I think somebody mentioned. And what actually has it's kind of transformed into various segments now, right? So earlier you had like one size fits all, but now you have different kind of platforms coming in. Like you have a Snapchat, which is talking to a much younger set of audiences. You have LinkedIn, which is for slightly more professional oriented sort of networks, and all of that is being used to kind of push products and services across the board. One departure from what I think you said, Saksham, right?
Prathamesh Thakre.
Sorry?
Prathamesh Thakre.
Prathamesh, sorry. Somebody else was Saksham. Yeah, sorry. So what Prathamesh and Saksham, just to add one layer to what you said, I think generating sales and leads is actually one aspect of the whole digital marketing piece, right? It's the more transactional part of it, but there is also a large part of it which is kind of involving building of awareness, right? So in the whole marketing funnel, for those of you who are interested in marketing or have studied marketing, you would have heard of the marketing funnel, right? So there's a top of the funnel, there's a middle of the funnel, there's a bottom of the funnel, and then there's a moment of truth, which is the exact transaction. So what you guys were referring to was the end of the funnel, right? Which is when a customer actually makes or pays for something, right? So that's what you were talking about. But that can't be enabled until you go through the rest of the steps of the funnel, right? So what digital marketing also allows you to do and enables you to do is to create demand for your product or your service at the top of the funnel, right? So that's another powerful part of what digital marketing allows you to achieve. It allows you to build the awareness, then push it into consideration, and finally result in a transaction or a sale. What is very, very crucial, and this is something that all of you need to know, is the biggest advantage of a digital medium as compared to any of the other mediums which I mentioned, whether print or outdoor or television, is its sheer measurability. the reason why digital has become the behemoth and the mega sort of phenomenon it is today is because you can actually measure every click, you can measure every engagement, you can measure every interaction and eyeball that happens with any brand on any of the platforms. With television, it was a guesstimate. With newspapers, it was okay. It goes to a household, maybe 4 people can actually have read it. Maybe it's in a dentist's chamber and 15, 20 people walk in. So there's a lot of guesstimation involved in the numbers that you kind of generate. But with digital, there is absolute certainty in terms of what you're measuring. Because every click, every view, or every transaction or lead is actually measurable, and that's what makes it such a powerful and inarguable sort of a medium, and that's why the growth has happened the way it has. So I think for all aspirants who are trying to look at a career in this part of the industry or this part of the media world, there are 2 things which you have to exercise at all points, and I will keep coming back to this. So there is a right brain aspect of it and left brain aspect of it. How many of you guys know what is the right brain and the left brain aspect? Okay, can someone share, please? I'll let the student say. Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead. You can introduce yourself also. Yeah. Are you feeling shy? You did raise your hand, right?
Actually, this is the theory of. Actually, I just read in political science. Just see, someone is reading Hindu. The Hindu newspaper is African left brain is the anti-nationality and nationality. These are the 2 parts of right brains and left brains. Just like political science and IR, they are just teacher things. If you are reading a newspaper, it is towards nationality of the Indians, and if you are reading another newspaper, then it's affect on your left brain parts.
So you're talking about the right wing and the left wing, sort of the political spectrum, I think. So, which is also great, but that's not the question I was asking actually. So I think ma'am might want to, yeah.
I think left part of the brain is mainly associated with logical thinking, and right part is mainly for creativity.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So the right brain, so I was talking the brain, the right part of the brain and the left part of the brain. The right part of the human brain largely contributes to creative thinking, ideation, visualization, artistic, those kind of pursuits, right? While the left brain is more logic, more numerical, more science, more analytics, more numeric and measurable, sort of, part of yourself. What digital, to really succeed in the digital sort of world, I think you need a combination of both. You need to have a very strong appreciation of the numbers, like I already mentioned, that you really need to know how to measure your campaigns. And if somebody asks you whether the campaign was a success or not, you need to actually have the understanding of numbers and analytics to really answer that question. However, a lot of that is automated. A lot of that is becoming, AI is like really making a lot of that much less manually dependent. So it's something which you have to understand as professionals and be able to compute analytics. But since we are running campaigns online, there's a very strong visual aspect to whatever that you are trying to do. Every communication piece has a very strong visual story that it has to tell. So it's important that that part of your brain, the right part of your brain, is also equally active, because one doesn't work without the other. So it's a combination of both. So again, that's not to say that if somebody has a particular interest towards numbers and analytics is where the leaning is, that you cannot pursue digital marketing. Then you sort of start talking about super specialization, right? Then you talk about having a career purely performance marketing, or purely analytics, or purely sort of data and data science, which is another huge emerging area, which is like a subset of what we're talking about in digital analytics. So, but I'm addressing, people who want to actually be a well-rounded and a complete digital marketing professional. I think a good appreciation of both of these is going to be very important. So, I think like I said, I don't have a long presentation. I want to make this interactive. So we have a few videos of the kind of work we've done at Runtime. I'm just going to, run you through certain videos and hopefully excite your mind so that you can ask more questions and we can go deeper into this territory. Yeah. So this is something which we had done for Tata Motors.
This Expo, launching the and একটা লাল কম্বোর্ড কেবিন কম্বোর্ড and একটা মাইলেজ for Ultra.
Play the other one also back to back. Sure. Back to this, yeah.
कुछ लड़कियों को स्कूल जाते देखा है, हंसती खिलखिलाती खेलती, जैसे उनकी सबसे बड़ी ख्वाहिश पूरी हो गई थी। चलो फिर स्कूल चल और इस बार एक लड़की को साथ लेकर चलो।
So I think the case studies I chose for today, I think a lot of us are very, up to speed with the consumer brands, that get promoted on social media, and whether it's FMCG or whether it's fashion brands or whether it's Nykaa or Myntra or any number of e-commerce, kind of platforms which are there, and you all are very much familiar with that because they're very active. It's a very obvious choice because they're visually representing commerce and straight away and early adopters of social and digital media. But the Tata Motors was a very interesting example even for us because the B2B part of the industry, which is business to business, is something which kind of was a laggard and has now caught up in the imagination of digital marketing, right? Because 5 years back, if somebody asked us, hey, would somebody want to buy a truck online? Or would somebody want to look at something as boring as a commercial vehicle online? The answer would have been that possibly not sure. It looks like a boring product, not very sure what you can do for it. But our experience has been overwhelmingly opposite, right? Because actually the opportunity to create experiences in the B2B universe have been even larger. Because particularly for large complex products like commercial vehicles or like real estate for that matter, the challenge is to how to bring something which is on the surface of it boring and clunky and bring that into a digital kind of a world. And again, that's where your sort of right brain, left brain sort of combination again comes in. So the moment you give an experience of a truck, like you saw, there was a 3D sort of an experience that was built into showing what the truck features are, what the benefits are of consuming or using a Tata Motors truck over and above, let's say an Ashok Leyland or whichever the competition that you're talking about. It immediately brings a very different dimension. So what was earlier done by brochures and dealers in dealerships, which were not the best way to consume, an experience for any vehicle. Suddenly, when you have the digital medium, when you have these kind of 3D experiences, you have VR glasses, it suddenly opens up a whole different dimension altogether. And that's really the power that digital marketing gives you. There is the form factor is no longer a constraint on what you want your final campaign to look like. You can actually, bring a truck experience to somebody sitting in their own drawing rooms, using their device or using Oculus or using a wearable device. Likewise with real estate, I think a lot of real estate promoters and builders need to sell properties or need to sell apartments without it actually having been built. So, you would have sample flats and things like that, but now you can actually visually in a 3D kind of an atmosphere actually showcase what your flat or what your apartment would look like. And that's something that can unlock immense amount of value using digital, using 3D visualization and creative techniques. So I think.
Small question can I ask?
Yes, please.
So you're talking about creating a digital experience, correct?
Yeah.
But then, is your main aim to get them to the office or make a purchase? Because if your main aim is to get them to the office, then what about the customer acquisition cost? Like for example, right here, I create a diamond product and I have a whole campaign around it. With a VR, we give it everything. But if my main aim is to get them to my office to sell it to them, then my customer acquisition cost is way higher than the projected income from me.
Right.
So what exactly do you deal with that?
Right. So very good question. What's your name?
Manav.
Manav. So I think I don't know if you were here earlier when I was speaking about the funnel. So basically your question is very valid. When you're purchasing, let's say a real estate, it's a value of maybe 1-2 CR plus, right? So sorry, more than that, yeah, definitely more than 1 or 2 CR, right? It's an ultra luxury premium apartment. No person would actually take a decision to take that purely online, or if it's a car, which is like a 15 lakh car if you're buying, let's say a Kia or an EV or whichever. So what digital allows you to do is to bridge the gap between awareness and consideration, right? It will tell you what are the benefits of, let's say, a real estate property, that you are offering, and kind of answer the initial 70% or 60% of questions that somebody have in their mind. It could be related to amenities, it could be related to the obvious ones, right? It could be related to the rates, proximity to infrastructure, possible growth rate, possible increments, investment opportunities, what have you. So a lot of this stuff can get answered online, and also an experience. But eventually, when the transaction, when you're going further down the funnel, the conversion would actually happen along with somebody from the customer would have to meet somebody from the real estate company. And likewise with the car as well. Like you can have the experience online, you can know what is the MG EV, let's say, what is the new offering, a Gloucester, whichever. But eventually, moment of truth would happen once you're in the store and you actually touch and feel the product and the vehicle, and then you close the transaction. So it's a builder. It kind of narrows the customer down and enables the sale to happen. So just to give an example too, because real estate is something which was of interest, you said, we are working with House of Abhinandan Lodha, right? So the Lodha group now, which is very popular, they have another wing which is kind of now trying to sell land, which is urban land. So they are trying to create pockets of land, and which all the stamp duty registration, all the legal paperwork is actually now clear. And these are in places which are a bit far off, not in the main city. So places like Dapoli or Alibag or Neral or Ayodhya now, as it is coming up as well. So their objective, Manav, to you now and everyone else as well, is to create land as a consumer tech sort of an asset, where you don't actually have to go through the hassle and the risk of purchasing land, because it's not a behavior which people used to do earlier. People were very used to going to real estate and buying apartments, because a lot of the legal and the paperwork then gets cleared out. So here is somebody who's actually trying to create a new category altogether, land as an asset class, where all the paperwork is digitized, where everything is kind of in place, and at a price point which is like in the 20 to 30 lakh range, going all the way up to 70, 80 for larger parcels. But this is being done by a lot of people across India without actually visiting the location and visiting where the land is. And the demos are actually being done through WhatsApp video calls. So instead of site visit, you're actually seeing the property through a WhatsApp video call. That's how, or drone videos. That's the larger one, but your specific plot of land, you can actually do it through a WhatsApp video call. So that's how democratized digital is, and is allowing that to happen. And each category is adopting the tech and the digital in a different way. But this is something which is live and which is happening. And it's very interesting for us also to see how categories are really adopting to this medium. And but yes, your question remains. I hope I've managed to answer your queries. Yeah. So I think that was what the example about the trucks was, and it was a great experience or a great learning for us about how B2B markets are really evolving and adopting digital at scale. And that's something which all of you should recognize and understand, because B2C is very visible, it's more attractive, it has all the brand ambassadors, it has all the optics of making it more popular. But don't ignore B2B just because it's dowdy. There's a lot of really interesting action happening at that side of the universe as well. Right? The second one which we did was Girl Rising, which is another area which is immensely popular and gets a lot of traction, which is causes, right? And popularizing causes, and how to bring those front and center, in the world that we live in. So these are just like segments within, like the industry segments within digital marketing, where again a lot of impact is being created. So any questions at this point? Any thoughts? Yeah.
In the first ad, I just saw that the main target audience were truck drivers, right? So, but majorly I have seen that they don't even use a smartphone. So, how digital marketing works?
So, one sort of clarification there. The truck driver who drives the truck is often not the owner of the truck, right? So, there are fleet owners. There are fleet owners, right? So, there are agencies who buy the trucks at scale and then employ the truck drivers to actually, deliver goods from point A to point B. So the actual buyer, like there was a video, it was not very clear the sound, but the buyer was like a fleet owner from somewhere in the northeast. So he would end up buying maybe 10 vehicles or 20 vehicles. And then his customer would be somebody like a Godrej or a Unilever or whichever, and who's moving, material from, let's say, Mumbai or Maharashtra to, let's say, Tripura, and then it goes from Tripura to Kerala, and then Kerala to Madhya Pradesh, and so on. That's how that industry behaves.
Same question for girls, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Same question for girl life case. Like, they are also target audience in villages and all.
So I can't hear you.
Target audience is really conscious.
No, again, the end user is not the villager here. The end user is actually creating awareness amongst people like us actually, to understand the importance of girls' ID. Yes, it was shown on Star Plus, so it was a very massive channel that they wanted to reach out to eventually also. But since our mandate was using social media, and we were actually promoting that, and this is a few years back, and a lot of people in the villages also have smartphones, at least feature phones today, right? So it's not that the divide between, let's say, a tier 2 city or tier 3 city or a village is huge today. I think that gap is narrowing. So they have feature phones for sure, and many of them have smartphones as well. So that's really there.
Newspapers are more common.
Say that again.
Newspapers are more common.
Those are other distribution challenges, right? To get a newspaper to a village, there is a production and a distribution challenge, whereas distribution via digital is much easier. And I think Jio has under 5,000 rupee phones, right? So I think with the cost of tomatoes, I think people can afford that in the villages today, honestly speaking. I think we had someone there. Can I give him a chance? Then I'll come back to you. Yeah.
As we see, we are moving towards AI. Do you think that digital marketing business will grow?
Yes, I'm going to come back to this. This is an important question and something I had which I wanted to speak about. I will come back to this. I'll come back to you.
Sir, according to you, how important is digitalization in B2B markets, like business to business? So can you just throw some light on that?
It's very crucial. Like that's why I gave the commercial vehicle example. So B2B behaves very differently from B2C, from how the volume moves into the funnel. It's a much smaller market. So like if you're selling commercial vehicles, you're addressing a finite number of fleet owners, right? So your challenge is how to find those fleet owners. So it's a more sort of how should I say? It's like a surgeon. You have to go very specific and find out which is the part I need to cut in. Right? So that's how B2B marketing works. So you can use all your tools to find that and micro target and then get a lead. And like Manav rightly said, then it becomes maybe a conversation. Maybe your B2B customer of, I'm just using trucks just because it's top of mind, and he would fill up a form. Then if you are Tata Motors or you're a dealer of Tata Motors, you would give them a call and say that, sir, आपको ट्रक लेना है, कितने सारे लेने हैं, क्या लेना है, and then you fix a physical appointment and then you go and you kind of meet them and engage and try to understand. Because somebody who's buying 10 trucks, for instance, is not going to write do an online transaction. Right? Like if you want to vote speakers or air dopes or whatever, that you'll buy online without thinking twice about it. Right? But if it's a large B2B transaction, you'll definitely want to engage with whoever you're buying it from. So that's how it works. And I have many more examples. Maybe if you're genuinely interested, we can take this offline because it's a very large category, the whole B2B marketing aspect of it. Right. Yeah, man.
So when we talk about B2B marketing, even if we sorted out the part that we get into the circle, how do you maintain cost transparency? Now what I mean by cost transparency is that, for example, I'm selling a good for 100 rupees. I just say that good worth, the MRP is 100. But I don't talk about the transportation cost, I don't talk about the maintenance, I don't talk about the insurance, I don't talk about how it is going to be set to you. And when I talk about all of that, 40% cost increases. Like for example, in the share market, if I use Axis Bank card, Global, they say we only charge 20%. But उसके ऊपर they take turnover tax, they take GST on turnover tax, they take stamp duty, etc. etc. Which prices the cost to 0.6%.
Right.
So how do you have a transparency cost about that? Because if someone goes to the office and gets you that okay, the cost is now increased by 40%, you will absolutely lose faith in you more than the company. But they will push the same also. So how do you deal with that?
Absolutely. Valid question. I'll go back to the real estate example, to kind of give you an example of this. So again, how the model works in real estate is that the actual sale is often not done directly by the builder. Okay, it's done by a channel partner network or real estate agents or brokers, correct? And there is always some margin or some commission that they would have to take on top of whatever the cost or whatever the customer is paying, right? That's how their business model really works. So it's quite it's a known fact. Like if the lead is coming through, let's say a Lodha or whoever is getting the lead, and it's then kind of being serviced by a channel partner, or if the channel partner is getting the lead, that margin is then accounted for, and then it is paid out to whoever gets the source of the lead. This comes back to what I said in the beginning, the whole traceability and trackability of data, right? So the origin of the source, of the lead, that becomes very crucial, right? Which in a physical world universe, sometimes it gets a bit blurry, because if two people meet a potential buyer, it's always going to be a bit of your word versus mine, right? Like I met him first, and the builder says that he walked into my office. Now, it gets very difficult to prove who's the actual origin, the source of that particular business. Whereas online, you can actually pinpoint saying, hey, he came to my site and he did the lead. Because often, even apart from the builder, even the channel partners have their own microsites or their own landing pages where they are promoting the very same property. So that allows you to track and actually create transparency in terms of, hey, this is my customer, this is my lead. Even in spite of that, there is confusion sometimes. It's not perfect. It's still, there is a huge, kind of debate online, for those interested, about attribution of where the customer is actually coming from. So even between Google and Facebook, sometimes there is a lead which is coming from both the sources. Right? So Amit is laughing and smiling. So a lot of people who are in this industry would know. And both of them take credit for it, and the marketer ends up paying both the people. So you're actually paying both of them. So the question is like, who is responsible for getting that, the attribution of that deal is to who. So there are different algorithms and logics which are at play here. The programmatic advertising industry is something which is also maturing here, which will allow you to answer that kind of a question as well. So I think the simple answer to what you're saying is that it does allow you to create transparency, traceability. What you're talking about, the Axis Bank and the transaction fee, I honestly think that's more of a business sort of a model call. I don't think digital will have a very different role or anything to add there. Because if you have a transaction fee and you haven't published that upfront, that's
not a call, that's a transparency.
So that
give your face value,
yeah.
But you don't talk about the consequences with it.
Correct.
So it's the same in the motor market. Like for example, if I take a Tata truck worth a crore, they won't talk about the insurance application, they don't talk about the number plate registration.
So that you're talking about hidden costs. You're talking about hidden costs, right? Yeah. But that's not. There'll always be a star mark saying, actual on-road cost is going to be higher than what is published. And also states have different taxes also, right? So registration in Maharashtra might be different than registration in Rajasthan, let's say, for instance. RTO or on-ground taxes, on road taxes. So that's your communication. You have to be transparent and you will talk about that, upfront. I don't think digital is plus or minus there. I think they will only take the messaging out and, it will allow you to expand and grow. But if your business model is not right, then digital can't really help much in that context. Yeah.
I have only one more case study.
You want to have one more case study?
Then we
do Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I think we can skip the cataract one. We can do the Tata Motors, the other one, next one.
Today I'm here to tell you a story. This story is not about man, a Bollywood fanatic and music lover. nor is it about Devesh, whose funda is eat, dance, cricket, repeat. Nor is it about Praveen, a geek who's always high on caffeine. Not even about Aradhya, who loves to explore life and meet new people. And that's Anup. This is not even his story. And last but not the least, Shazia, photographer and book lover. And this is not even her story. This story is not even about their crazy IPL journey, for which they've come together to travel around the country. This is my story, because without me, their journey is incomplete.
Let's just listen to some music and chill.
I'm gonna miss this yaar. What Mr.
Great. So that was a much more consumer one, which was IPL and Tata Nexon promotion. And we actually created a web series out of that with these fans traveling to different parts of India and watching IPL. And we actually made the Tata Nexon the centerpiece of the whole story. So, you know, that's something which I just wanted to leave behind. I'm going to take up Saksham's question, because that's very important. I'm going to leave you with that thought because we might be running out of time. But for those who have specific questions, happy to take it after over a coffee or something. So AI, right? I think no conversation today is complete without generative AI. You know, that's the kind of world, it's the buzzword right now. And digital marketing is no stranger to that. I mean, it's very much embedded in that context altogether. So few thoughts which I'll give you in terms of what trends are happening, right, for you to understand. So Adobe is used to be the largest. I mean, if you're a designer, it was the largest company where everybody you use the products, Photoshop, After Effects, Creative Cloud, whatever, to actually, you know, kind of do your work. Then came along, I think Canva came, Figma came along first of all, and that disrupted the whole industry, right? So for those who have used Figma, it's much easier to use and display. So Adobe felt threatened that time, and I think they acquired Figma after that for like a huge several $1 billion paycheck. Then I think now, and a lot of you must be familiar with Canva, right? So Canva is what people use now, and everybody is a designer now, right? So I think Adobe is viewing that very closely and understanding what's happening there. But what Adobe has now done is that they've got a feature called generative fill, right? I see some people nodding, so you guys know what that is about. So basically now, what used to take about a couple of days to do, you can actually do in a matter of minutes. You know, so that's what AI is able to do in a creative part of the industry. You know, where you're able to churn out many more creatives and communications at scale without needing the manual designer to be working overnight. So that's one area which is important to take care of. At the next level, when it comes to video production, even color correction for the films that you see, you know, with Mission Impossible or whichever, you are able to actually do color correction again at scale, which you might usually take 30 days earlier, could happen in a matter of a couple of days. So AI is generally helping the production and the pre-production part of the universe in a very big way, disrupting it from a point of view of time spent, and how soon you can go to market. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, which is like a huge threat for Google, is for the very first time their search ecosystem, on which they have made billions and billions and dollars, is now under threat from a ChatGPT, okay, or generative AI tools in general, because now I think Bard, which was their AI tool, for the very first time in many years, where Microsoft actually stole a lead on Google, right? And if any of you have used Bing with ChatGPT, have any of you used it? Yes. Yeah. So I think one of the very useful and the obvious one which I saw was, if you check out of Amazon, you know, you usually have like 15 offers which are, you know, kind of either use Axis Bank or Paytm or PayU or something, and ICICI with Amazon gift card, and you know, bunch of things, right? So what Bing checkout allows you to do is that it just scans it and tells you which one is available for you. Straight up, one click, 15 seconds. So suddenly your checkout is like, the FOMO goes away, right? You're like, oh shit, which one did I miss? Suddenly you're being told that, yeah, you are applicable for the Axis one or the ICICI or the Amazon gift pay one, or not. So that's where the whole customer experience, you know, journey is going to be changed. How the whole search experience can change is something which I think everybody is debating about, because Google sort of became the owner of the search engine and the search engine optimization part of it. But now with ChatGPT and other generative AI, I think there's more different kind of value adds which are coming in. You know. So I think that's another thing to watch out for. Right? In performance, I think I already spoke about programmatic advertising a little bit. I invite you to study more about it, because again, you can actually schedule an ad today on Google or Facebook or Instagram. Earlier, what agencies like us would do, we would find out what is the right time to break a campaign, which is typically when the customers are more active on social media. So it could be usually after, I mean, there's a lull period, lunchtime, 12 to 2, and then there's between 5 to 9 when people are free after work and they can, you know, check out stuff. Now programmatic advertising allows you to automate that completely. So you don't have to sit and say, okay, do this between 12 and 2 and bump it up and then put it down after 2. It's just automated. The moment there's a traffic surge, your ad also then starts coming up into that, you know, consideration straight away. So I think that's anyway already being used. You know, this is not even like much before AI became a thing. I think programmatic is something around for the last 4-5 years. So there's creative, there's search disruption, there's performance disruption. And finally, there's a whole piece around analytics. And I think the next session that Amit tells me is going to be a lot about data and analytics. So I think you should actually ask the same sort of a question to the next speaker as well, because it will give like huge insights in terms of how your campaign and your dollar can go, you know, give you bang for the buck. So in very short, that's what I can tell you. It's a huge subject. I actually moderated a session in Calcutta last month on the very same subject, and it's a large subject. It's a different session. You know, maybe if Amit organizes that, I'll be happy to do that as well. But yeah, so that's, I hope I managed to give you a flavor.
Let's give a big round of applause.
Please, yeah.